What is up, ladies and gentlemen? MadScientist06, HardcoreGamers.com, EA Sports Game Changer. This is the final video of the series, 17 videos. Thanks for sticking with me. Of course, once again, this is all about recruiting, not about gameplay. It's all about going in, assigning points, seeing how things go. So we're in a lot of tight battles right now. We had to remove Lou Johnson, running back. He just got too far behind the number one school. They caught us, and then that momentum, we just couldn't keep up. So it didn't make any sense to apply any points to him any further. We just focus on running backs, some other running backs that we could pick up, or we know we have 4 running backs, so we're not really looking really bad. But I did want to sign at least 1 or 2 to kind of start grooming up. So right now, you can tell we're in a lot of tight battles. We're ahead of the game in a lot of the cutoffs. We're in the hunt. Brandon Hill, we just got rid of him because he's a running back with 85 speed. No way he's going to fit into the MadSci offensive system with 4 running backs already in the 90 speed. So he probably never get in. So we had to remove him, trying to focus on a small number of players. Moving to week 9, we get in week 9 and we sign 2 players, our first 2 signings, which is good. So we're moving along. Realize that we have some upgrades available, so I'm going to use those. In our remaining games, they may prove to be beneficial, even if we are just simming our games. So I'm going to go through and do that. So definitely we're trying to give some focus on recruiting points because we could really use those, and it looks like that tree does not improve that quickly. So I have to go back and look at, are there any specific things that we can do to focus just on that tree, because we want some of those coach skills, like to be able to unlock that lock and be able to have players instantly commit and things like that, or improve the probability of them instantly committing. So we didn't get any of those this season, which was rather disappointing, to say the least. So I normally get 1 or 2. Most people do. So it's a new system, so you have to kind of get used to it. So we're still in these tough battles. Um, you know, the strong safety I really wanted because he was tall. And then I found out late in the game there's a running back that was 93 speed. So at this point, there are a lot of guys ready to visit now, and so we're setting some of these guys up for complimentary visits, so we can get extra bonus points, which is pretty cool. So, like I said, we're in the lead with most players, maybe 2 or 3 we're not doing that well on, but we're still in the game. So now we're in week 10, still moving along, still making progress. Week 11, just moving along. Another sign, Lewis Gray, wide receiver. Good. He's pretty fast, so I like that. I always like fast receivers, so looking forward to having them on the team. So we're looking good. Mark Christian, we really want that guy. He's an 87 speed middle linebacker. Think he'll fit well within the team. And some of these other guys, still scouting them the entire season, and some of them we still haven't gotten enough information on to make us sure we want them. Signed 3 more players, got a running back, which is good. Not the fastest one that I wanted. I think he's 90 speed, but we'll take it. If we start him as a freshman, redshirt him, by the time he gets up to be a senior, he could have 93, 94 speed, something like that. They typically go 1 or 2 notches if they do it all. So so that's not bad. We can work him in the system. So Scott Luke is a guy that I like. He's moved up. We put him on the board. He was probably number 6 or so. Now he's moved up. Just making continual progress, which was good. So hopefully we can nab him by the end of the season. Everybody else will hold it tight. Mark Christian actually at some point moved from number 2 to number 1. So we get the bowl week. And we moved up level 11. That's a big jump from starting off level 1 in the preseason. So you can look at what we're doing here. Of course, we're not assigning points this week, so you get to see how far everybody's behind and what they look like in terms of position. So now we're going, looking at the contract, 11-3, not a bad year. Lost a bowl game though. So we got 2 players. Of course, the quarterback, like I said, wanted to leave, and we went through and convinced him to stay. And another player, we convinced both players that wanted to leave to stay. 4 players went to the draft. Still number 11 in terms of coach level. And there are 4 players on the board that are in really tight battles. Now, this is for all the marbles here. This is the most critical period because you have 10,000 points. And now you can put them on anybody you want on your board. You can put all 10,000 on one player. So the crazy thing is the computer's doing the same thing. Signing day. Let's see what happened. You can go back and look at my points and how I used them. We only signed 2 people. A lot of people didn't get signed. My boy Juwan Pope, the athlete, the quarterback we were looking at initially, Mike Rivers, and then some players that I brought on late, Scott Luke, Brian McKinley, Justin Callahan. Those guys didn't sign, although it didn't look like they had anybody else on their board that they were really interested in. But it looks like we didn't get enough points to bring them over the threshold, right? So some of these are some big disappointments. Chris Bailey signed with someone else. Some of these guys came like out of the blue. You can go back and look and track things. Michael Taylor was a 93 speed running back we lost, or Leonard Keenan was. So, here there are some things that we learn from here. This is not a bad class. It's not the best class. But the guys that we wrapped up before the off season, they can't take them away from us. Those are the guys that we have. And they're not bad. It's kind of good to see that they're not 80, 85, 90 OVR. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for rolling with me. So, what did we learn? I tell you what, there are probably some lessons that I didn't even see in the video. And one of the cool things is the videos here. You can go back and look at them and follow specific players or things that I did, how many points I used, and hopefully, learn something. And if you did, share it with me. Help me out. Maybe it's something that I missed. So my recommendations are jump on recruits early. You want to sign recruits before you get to the off season, just because it's easier to do that. The off season, there's a lot of uncertainty. So that'll mean give out scholarships early, get bonus points any way that you can by your on-field performance, and also bring in players in for visits and make sure you get those complimentary visits. That means you're going to bring a lot of players to the same school in order to start to set that up. You want to use those recruiting coach skills to your advantage. I wasn't able to do so. I think my setting was so low, my progression setting, that I didn't get enough points to really do anything. So, like I said, in the race before the off season, don't get too comfortable with a lead. We saw a lot of things jump back and forth. I got a little comfortable on some people and then really lost out. I don't think you need to put all 35 players on your board. I would focus on 20, 25, something like that. And really, they're probably going to be 10 or so that you really, really want. Kind of look at those, max those points out, because you want to get it done before you get to the off season. When you get to the off season, you want to focus on maybe 1 or 2 players. Ask yourself who you can live without. If you can't live without that one player, you really need a quarterback. Put all 10,000 on, because you don't know what human beings are going to do. And now we learned that the computer is a lot smarter than we thought they were. And some players they wanted, they jumped me, and I had a lot of them at number 1. So those 10,000 points are very important. You can jump anybody with 10,000, 1,000, if they're only going to put down a couple hundred. So even if you're number one, there's no guarantee. And we also saw with 3 players, I was number one on their board. Nobody else even really wanted them. I had scholarships on them, and they still didn't sign because they didn't have enough points. I believe this is a bug. If EA does not fix this, then we're going to have to keep that in consideration when you're playing. Because what you're going to have to do is these players are going to have a certain amount of points to sign. And if you bring somebody late on in the game, you're not going to be able to give them enough points to get to a place where they sign. So you may have to adjust your strategy. But I sent all that in to the developers, so hopefully they'll take a look at it and address it, or let me know if that's the way maybe it's supposed to be. But in any event, you want to get your players in and signed before the off season. I lost so many players in the off season that I had number one, and those players I was really counting on. So, like I said, this is a test dynasty, so we're learning from this. But those quarterbacks, the strong safety, a lot of those guys, I had number one. I was number one or number two. With the linebacker that was 87 speed, we were able to sign him. We got some good players, but this wasn't a great class. It was an okay recruiting class. But we could have did a lot better understanding what we needed to do. And when we got to that point where we started, going down to 0 points and playing around, and we got a lead and we got comfortable, don't get comfortable. Lock those players in, the ones that you really want. The other problem was that because you can't target your scouting, the ratings or the attributes are revealed however they're revealed randomly. So some players we were putting some points in because we thought that they were going to be good, and then we found out they weren't fast enough or they didn't have the attributes that we wanted. So, there's some new strategies this year. We'll all have to adjust. Run some tests on your own to get ready if you're in a dynasty, even if you're just going to do one yourself. But online, offline, all those things, use what you learned here to your advantage and do your own tests. And if you figure out something, you find something, let me know. Hit me up, MadScientist06 on Twitter. Send me a message here. Come to my website, hardcoregamers.com, or hit me up on GameChangersRadio.com. That's a weekly radio show that we do every Tuesday night, 9 to 11 p.m. We talk about gaming, EA sports games. We talk about other games. We talk about sports. We talk about all the current things, going on in the world as it relates to gaming. So anyway, I'm signing off. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Hope you guys learned something. Hit me up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out.